Welcome to Weather and Climate Chat. Today's date is Tuesday, October 18th, and I'm in the studio here with the celebrity, Dr. Michael Davis. I say celebrity because you had your big TV appearance last week on BCTV. Congratulations, Dr. Davis.
Thank you. I had a good time on the show, and hopefully they bring me back.
Yeah, let's actually do something a little bit different today. And instead of talking about our topic of the week last, and then the weather first, let's do it the other way around. Let's talk about how your appearance last week on BCTV talking about climate was.
It went very well.
Okay.
They asked me a lot of questions on weather, climate, and the extreme events that we've been seeing recently across the United States. And pretty much I said, this is not really normal, and that climate change is definitely starting to rear its head in some of the storms and patterns that we're seeing in terms of stacking the deck for more extreme cases and unusual weather.
Okay. So it was basically a question and answer type session with two moderators that were asking you some questions. I don't think you got any questions from the public, but it was streamed on online. And just as a public announcement, I know you can still stream it back. It's still on BTV. I think it's
correct. Yes. I uploaded that to my personal Facebook page, but I can definitely share that to our page or Monsoon Mike, so people are able to see.
Yep, you can either share it to my page or I'll share it, and then make sure to share it to your page, Dr. Michael Davis Weather Forecasts, and watch it back. So good job with that. So just tell them a little bit of background of how you were invited to do this.
The founder of Berks County, Berks Gas Truth, Karen Ferridan, approached me to be on the show, talk about the extreme weather events that we've been having. Karen and I have met up a couple times at a renewable energy conference of the
I met her once.
Maria,
very bright
Mid-Atlantic Renewable Energy Association. And one of my very good students, Shayna Rose, is friends with Karen Ferridan as well. And that's how I got set up with this TV debate.
Well, that's great.
Or not so much debate. But discussion.
Discussion. Yeah, nobody really debated you. I guess you could have had that if somebody would have called in, but nobody called in, which was good. So it was just a straight-up question and answer. You did great. You're our campus celebrity. You made KU proud, and hopefully somebody watches it and learns something from it. So,
I sure hope so. Education is key for our understanding of climate.
That is true. And with such a, I think you mentioned a very good point in there, and we'd like to stress it as well here, too, that, we're not one of those, people that, we're going to point and say that single hurricane was caused by climate change. But when you put it all together and you start building up that stack of evidence, it kind of does start pointing toward that there's something else going on here.
Yes, when you start pulling multiple cases where you're getting strong hurricanes, say like what we saw with Harvey, Irma, and Maria within a week and a half, 2 week period, that signals something to you.
Hey, I just thought of something. We were just talking about trying to come up with a topic before the show, and we were drawing a little blank, so that's why we decided to focus on your appearance last week. But let's talk about Hurricane Ophelia. That's something a little bit unique with I'm not sure where she exactly is right now. Did she hit Ireland yet?
Yes, I believe she's over Scotland today.
Over Scotland? Okay. And I actually have a former student in Scotland, so I'll have to check in with him. And he made a joke to me because he's a big believer in climate change and said, I move out of the U.S. to Scotland and I got hurricanes following me. He said, what's going on here, Monsoon Mike? So talk about Ophelia. I mean, it's not totally unheard of to have a hurricane in that part of the world, but it's a little bit unusual.
You're correct. Not many hurricanes do strike Europe. Usually by the time they get to Europe, they are not really tropical anymore.
Right.
They are more in the way of post-tropical, where they've lost their warm cores and have transitioned to more of a traditional low-pressure system, which is based on temperature changes rather than actual release of latent energy through the condensation process.
Right.
Ophelia formed well into the central, maybe north-central portion of the Atlantic, where ocean temperatures were warmer than usual, like we've been seeing across most of the Atlantic basin this summer season. That then got caught up in the westerlies and moved closer to the British Isles. Now, Europe has seen tropical systems make landfall. I shared with you Hurricane Vince back in 2005 when it was a hurricane, and quite unusual at that time, but it didn't make landfall as a tropical depression.
Right.
in southwestern Spain, but it still had tropical characteristics associated with it.
Right.
Now, forming in that part of the Atlantic is very unusual, and Europe is not familiar with them, as we've stated before.
Right.
So this could be a intriguing situation as to what Europe actually does with a post-tropical system that makes landfall, bringing winds and heavy rain to an area that's not accustomed to seeing these types of weather conditions.
Right. Now, I went to the National Hurricane Center's website, and it looks like nothing's on there, so I guess it's there.
Yeah, it has since exited the realm or the sphere of the National Hurricane Center. They were talking with the Met Office, which is the National Weather Service affiliate, or equivalent, I should say, of the UK, and also Met IRE, which is the Ireland National Weather Service.
Right.
Over the weekend discussing Ophelia.
Okay, yeah, I'm just looking at an article from yesterday's Washington Post. Former Hurricane Ophelia plowed into southern Ireland early Monday, unleashing wind gusts as high as 119 miles per hour. Storm reported caused possibly 3 deaths, 360,000 customers without power. Some wind gusts, 119 miles per hour at Fastnet Rock, a lighthouse in southwest Ireland, 97 miles per hour. Another lighthouse, 84 miles per hour, 78, 76. So we were talking about I guess the equivalent of a strong Category 1 hurricane, you could say here, would be the equivalent to what this was? Because it was kind of like,
Yeah, 1, maybe a 2, depending on it. I'm looking at the lighthouse that you were talking about and said it was taken at 200 feet. So
okay.
That could be possibly skewing the
right, but then I guess we would look at these more. Okay, so at least a strong Category 1, I guess you could say. And again, do we point to this one particular event and say this is climate change? No, but the fact that we already had such a crazy and wild Atlantic hurricane season, and then we throw this into the equation as well too. So this definitely has been a pretty epic hurricane. Halloween too.
Yeah, you're thinking early.
Right? Hurricane season for 2017. So what can we say at that point? Last time we had anything close to this active, I believe, was 2005 when we went through the entire alphabet, and then we were into the Greek alphabet.
Yes, we had an active year then. Yes,
we had
a very long period of no real tropical systems influencing or making landfall in the United States.
Okay.
And that kind of stems into the 2015 strong El Nino event that we saw. And El Ninos typically diminish or decrease the amount of hurricane activity in the Atlantic Ocean because all that energy and moisture is being drawn to the Pacific rather than the Atlantic.
Right. Okay. Well, there you have it, folks. Dr. Davis being a celebrity earlier last week, and then also a quick look at the hurricane season, which now looks a little quiet after Ophelia, but still we have a ways to go for hurricane season, which goes through till November 30th. And it's not even unheard of that some things sometimes have formed after that. But
the next storm name is Philippe, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Well,
followed by Rena.
I know there's nothing out there now, and I saw something rather positively, I guess I could say, positively unusual on the National Hurricane Center's website. No tropical cyclone activity expected during the next 48 hours. Woohoo! Have we seen that for a while? Probably not.
No, we haven't. And I believe the Hurricane Center on Facebook recently said a rare opportunity where there's no tropical system in the Atlantic Ocean.
Right. So let's all take a collective deep breath and hope for the best that nothing more affects us. We are actually near the 5-year anniversary of technically not hurricane, extra tropical cyclone Sandy, whatever you want to call her. Post-tropical Sandy of the end of October 5 years ago. So as you can see, this stuff can still happen that time of year.
Yes.
So.
We are not out of the woods yet for the Atlantic hurricane season.
Okay. And I apologize for not knowing the exact term. I always get those extratropical and post-tropical. And I think most people get confused too. But
Superstorm Sandy, Frankenstorm.
Well, that one. All right. Let's get back to we did things in reverse today. Let's now talk about weather in our neck of the woods. And the reason why we're doing this in reverse and keeping it short at the tail end is because there's not much to talk about on our side of the country.
No, I often joke with the students that if I wake up in the morning and it's sunny and clear skies, my day is ruined because there's
Nothing to talk
nothing
about.
going on in the atmosphere.
It's sort of like being a meteorologist in Hawaii, I guess,
Yeah, you could say that. Or I often say San Diego.
Or San
too,
Diego, well, yeah.
where it's pretty monotonous.
Right.
But with a high pressure system in place that we currently have, the weather tends to be pretty repetitive.
Yeah, it's a pretty repetitive pattern, and look what we've got. Sunny, sunny, sunny. There could be some clouds tonight, and I think that's resulting from, I think there's a weak front coming through tonight, like a very weak cold front, I believe I heard, but not
That
really.
looked more like Thursday night.
Was that
I
Thursday
thought.
night? Okay.
But
I'm not sure what
the Weather Service says Wednesday night.
I'm not sure what the increase is.
Sometime around here.
Somewhere, yeah. Well, again, it's not
The
important.
forecast discussion said they were uncertain as to when the front would actually pass, but it'd be pretty weak.
Okay, well, whatever it is, it's a very weak front. Yeah, here you go. Dry frontal boundary may move into the area Thursday into Friday. Okay, so I'm not sure what these clouds are tonight. Maybe just a disturbance of some sort. But long and short of it is very monotonous pattern, partly to mostly sunny the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Not until we get to maybe next late Monday into Tuesday do we have another stronger front come through, and potentially another low pressure system involved with that. Long way off for us to talk about it, but that could give us some rain somewhere around Tuesday.
And I'll take a step back too and say that the next 5 days the temperatures look pretty steady, with high temperatures around 70 and low temperatures around the mid upper 40s.
Yeah, this is I actually enjoy this kind of weather, even though I would like it maybe a step cooler. I actually enjoy this kind of weather because you have that nice wide, what's that called, diurnal range?
Diurnal temperature
Diurnal
range.
temperature range, where you got cool, crisp nights in the 40s, but then the afternoons get nice and mild in the 70s, and that's pretty much what we've got going on for the next 5 or so days.
Yeah, and that's not going to change anytime soon until, like we mentioned earlier, next week when we get potentially a pretty strong trough coming down from the north and a low pressure coming up from the Gulf that will probably be taking a lot of moisture up with it. Now, when that cold air meets up with that frontal system around our area, we'll see what happens. We saw some of the models trying to signal some that SNOW. I won't say the word yet.
The big S word, right. Yep.
But I think that's a little premature, and I don't really foresee any really frozen types of precip until December, January.
Yeah.
It's still too early for that.
You and I always like to try to put, rumors, Facebook rumors to rest, and there's been some people out there, surprisingly from some pretty more respected names, we won't mention any names, about the end of October turning wild and crazy and cold and snowy. And the end of October to us, at least what we're looking at before we went on the air, is kind of average, maybe some pretty good cold shots, but nothing overly crazy. So,
yeah, and it did look like maybe a better chance for some snow, like upstate New York,
Right.
New England,
right.
but nothing by us.
Nothing by us. Okay. Well, we'll just keep an eye on it for the coming weeks, as we always do here on Weather and Climate Chat. And other than that, enjoy this pretty quiet pattern. And hopefully by the time, or not hopefully, depending on your point of view, by this time next week, we'll have a little more to talk about, at least with some precipitation around.
I sure hope so.
All right.
This tranquility sometimes gets a little old.
Tranquility gets old. There's a quote for you folks. All right. All right. Weather and Climate Chat signing off. Thank you so much, Dr. Michael Davis. We'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds good.
Okay.